A farmer spends $5,000 on a young registered Black Angus bull to mate with his cows. He puts the bull out with the herd, but the animal just eats grass. He won't even look at the cows. The farmer feels cheated, so he brings in the local vet to check out the bull. The bull is very healthy, the vet explains, but possibly just a little young. So he gives the farmer pills to feed the bull once per day. It will help with his urge to mate. After a few days, the bull starts to service a few cows, and within a week, every cow on the farm. The bull even breaks through the fence and breeds with all the neighbors' cows. He turns into a mating machine. A friend of the farmer asks exactly what the vet gave the bull to cause such a drastic change.
I don't know exactly what was in them pills, the farmer says. All I can tell you is they work. And they taste like peppermint.
A priest was being honored at his retirement dinner after 25 years in the parish. A local politician and member of the congregation was chosen to make the presentation and to give a little speech at the dinner. However, he was delayed, so the priest decided to say his own few words while they waited. "I got my first impression of the parish from the first confession I heard here. I thought I had been assigned to a terrible place. The very first person who entered my confessional told me he had stolen a television set, and, when questioned by the police, was able to lie his way out of it. He had stolen money from his parents, embezzled from his employer, had an affair with his boss's wife, and taken illegal drugs. I was appalled, but as the days went on, I learned that my people were not all like that. I had, indeed, come to a fine parish full of good and loving people." Just as the priest finished his words, the politician arrived full of apologies at being late. He immediately began to make the presentation and gave his talk. "I'll never forget the first day our parish priest arrived," said the politician. "In fact, I had the honor of being the first person to go to him for confession." While at a gas station, a man noticed a woman smoking as she was filling up her car. He thought to himself, that sure is a silly thing to do. But he knew better than to confront strangers about their stupidity. He sees two policemen on the other side of the street. They can see the woman smoking, but aren't doing anything about it. As the man is going to the cashier to pay for his gas, he hears loud screaming behind him. He looks around and sees that the woman's arm is on fire. She is literally running around the gas station waving her arm in the air. The policemen jump into action at this point and put the fire out. Then they arrest the woman and handcuff her. The man thought this was harsh and that the woman should be going to the hospital, not jail. So he asked one of the policemen why they were arresting her. The cop replied, "For waving a firearm in public." Little Johnny comes home from Sunday school with a black eye. His father sees it and says, "Johnny, how many times do I have to tell you not to fight with the other boys?"
"But Dad, it wasn't my fault,"
Johnny replies.
"We were all in church saying our prayers, and we all stood up, and my teacher in front of me had her dress in the crack of her butt. I reached over and pulled it out. That's when she hit me."
"Johnny," the father said, "you don't do those kinds of things to women." Sure enough, the very next Sunday, Johnny came home with the other eye black and blue. Johnny's father said, "Johnny, I thought we had a talk."
"But Dad,"
Johnny said,
"it wasn't my fault. There we were in church saying our prayers. We all stood up, and my teacher in front of us had her dress in the crack of her butt. Then Louie, who was sitting next to me, saw it, and he reached over and pulled it out. Now, I know she doesn't like this, so I pushed it back in."
John was a clerk at a small pharmacy, but he was not much of a salesman. He could never find the item that the customer wanted. Peter, the owner, had about enough and warned John that the next sale he missed would be his last. Just then, a man came in coughing and asked John for the best cough syrup. Try as he might, John couldn't find the cough syrup. Remembering Peter's warning, John sold the man a box of laxatives and told him to take them all at once. The customer did as John suggested and then walked outside and leaned against a post. Peter had seen all this occur and came over to ask John what had happened.
He wanted something for his cough, but I couldn't find the cough syrup. So I substituted it for laxatives and told him to take them all at once,
John said. Peter was shocked.
Laxatives won't cure a cough,
He shouted angrily.
Sure they will,
Said John, pointing at the man leaning on the post.
Look at him. He's afraid to cough.
A man walked into a restaurant with a full-grown ostrich behind him. As he sat down, the waitress came over and asked for their orders. The man said, "I'll have a hamburger, fries, and a Coke." Then he turned to the ostrich and asked, "What's yours?"
I'll have the same,
said the ostrich. A short time later, the waitress returned with the order saying,
That will be $6.40, please.
So the man reached into his pocket and pulled out the exact change for payment. The next day, the man and the ostrich came again, and the man said, "I'll have a hamburger, fries, and a Coke." Then the ostrich said,
I'll have the same.
Once again, the man reached into his pocket and paid with exact change. This became a routine until late one evening, the two entered again.
The usual?
Asked the waitress. "No, it's Friday night, so I will have a steak, baked potato, and a salad," said the man.
Same for me.
Said the ostrich. A short time later, the waitress came out with the order and said,
That'll be $12.62, please.
Once again, the man pulled the exact change out of his pocket and placed it on the table. The waitress couldn't hold back her curiosity any longer.
Excuse me, sir. How do you manage to always come up with the exact change out of your pocket every time?
"Well," said the man, "several years ago I was cleaning the attic and I found an old lamp. When I rubbed it, a genie appeared and offered me 2 wishes. My first wish was that if I ever had to pay for anything, I would just put my hand in my pocket and the right amount of money would always be there,"
That's brilliant.
said the waitress.
Most people would wish for $1 million or something, but you'll always be as rich as you want for as long as you live.
That's right. Whether it's a gallon of milk or a Rolls Royce, the exact money is always there, said the man. The waitress asked,
One other thing, sir. What's with the ostrich?
The man sighed, paused, and answered, "My second wish was for a tall chick with long legs who agrees with everything I say." A guy calls a company and orders their 5-day, 5-pound weight loss program. The next day, there's a knock on the door. There, standing before him, is a voluptuous, athletic 19-year-old babe, dressed in nothing but a pair of running shoes with a sign around her neck. She introduces herself as a representative of the weight loss company. The sign reads, "If you can catch me, you can have me." Without a second thought, he takes off after her. A few miles later, puffing and puffing, he finally gives up. The same girl shows up for the next 4 days, and the same thing happens. On the 5th day, he weighs himself and is delighted to find that he's lost 5 pounds, as promised. He calls the company and orders their 5-day, 10-pound program. The next day, there's a knock at the door, and there stands the most stunning, beautiful, and sexy woman he'd ever seen in his life. She's wearing nothing but running shoes and a sign around her neck that reads, "If you catch me, you can have me." Well, he's out the door after her like a shot. This girl is in excellent shape, and he does his best to catch her, but no such luck. So, for the next 4 days, the same routine happens with him gradually getting in better and better shape. Much to his delight, on the 5th day, when he weighs himself, he discovers that he's lost another 10 pounds, as promised. He decides to go for broke and calls the company to order the 7-day, 25-pound program.
Are you sure?
Asks the representative on the phone.
This is our most rigorous program.
"Absolutely," he replies. "I haven't felt this good in years." The next day, there's a knock at the door. And when he opens it, he finds a huge, muscular guy standing there. wearing nothing but pink running shoes and a sign around his neck that reads, "If I catch you, you are mine."